Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome everybody to another BeoTalk number 346. Other way of share screen.
What's going on?
Wait.
I thought we had it figured out, bro.
Yeah, but
Not anymore.
where did it go? There. Go buy some stuff at the Greenhouse Studio. I think this is kind of cool for your A1.
Yeah, that is cool. I like it.
I think I might be getting one of those.
Well, it looks nicer than the Temu nonsense.
Yeah. So,
but that Temu thing is cool, except the fact that now the Gen 3s that are out are only in silver, honeytone, and green, I believe, right? The teal green, whatever the heck the color that is. So none of that new stuff matches the old colors. But one would wish.
And yeah, go to Skinny Play.
Do it.
And buy some stuff there. Use the promo codes for both, actually. Same promo code, really, for 10% off. So go and do that. Come and join our Discord if you haven't yet already, because it's a good place.
Learn a lot of new things.
Yeah. Or be angry. Whatever
or be
works,
angry
whatever,
at a lot of things.
Whatever floats your boat.
Or whatever doesn't work in your house, basically.
Yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And yeah, we'll get into it.
The gravies.
How's your week been?
Not bad. Didn't really. It's a blur, more or less, of just different jobs and such, but nothing too crazy. Same old story. Other than, like I was telling you earlier, the Samsung has come out with a new update for my phone on Monday morning. I updated it as I was getting up, and just, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because there's like all these new animations there was no need for, and like my icons for some reason I have an extra row that I can't get rid of. To fill the screen with my home screen icons.
Yeah.
And I guess, speaking of bugs, they finally figured out that in the Ford Transit that I drive, for some reason, when I get out of it, it takes the ringer volume and puts it basically to 2% or 5%. Like barely can hear it randomly. Like it stopped doing it ever since the update. But I noticed every time I would get out of the Transit, and I would look at my phone and see it ringing, and it's just, like the first initial chime of the Beo time in the morning, right? The alarm clock, like it's very, very faded. I look like, my volume is out. So at least that's that, but everything else, I'm just kind of pissed. But yeah, nothing much new other than I guess we've all seen and gotten the email that I hope this is not the 100th anniversary product that they're coming up with as far as the Atelier Art Deco BeoSound theater package with a pair of 28s.
Yeah, let's.
That would be sad. That would be sad, y'all. Come on, B&O, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I mentioned this last week with the harmony bug.
Go for it. I don't.
Okay,
so.
I guess not. So this this is very weird. Julien has a client out, whatever, and they bought a harmony and a pair of 28s, right? And the 28s were supposed to go to the rear, but they ended up going to the front because it just fucking looks better. And man, trust me, it does. Somewhere I have the picture of it. And they decided to get a subwoofer, right? So Julien goes because he was measuring the blinds and whatever because they want to get the Lutron stuff.
Yeah.
So he gives him he hooks up the fucking 19 to the harmony, right? Puts it in, right? And he goes into Netflix, subwoofer woofs, no problem. Switches to music, no sub.
Huh?
No sub at all. So we're trying to help him out, whatever. But in the back, everybody after the phone hangs up is like, ooh, he's probably doing something wrong, right? Like there's no way. Well, sure as shit, there is a way. I was taking apart our window display, which was those colorful 28s that we had, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? Before I put them in the box, let's just hook them up to the Harmony, because we're gonna put a subwoofer with the eights, with the Lab eights that are basically up top of the Harmony WiSA connected, right? Because we're running out of the we're teetering on the 24 full rule, right, of products being on the app.
Yeah.
So I set them up exactly the same, hook them up WiSA. I reset both speakers so they're, fresh out of the box, essentially. Updated the software on each, connected them WiSA to the Harmony, went through the, scan, like make the speaker group, right? I went through that automated process where I said, okay, I want the BeoLab 28 left and the BeoLab 28 right. And I want the subwoofer 19 in the mix, right? 2.1 system, right? Click, yes, cool, okay. You turn on, and I did the exact same, reran the same. Well, I made an additional speaker group, let's just say, with the 8s and the 19. So we put on the movie, whatever, the demo shit that, rolls in there with the DTS, Dolby nonsense, whatever else have you. Subwoofer works, no problem. We switch to Deezer, subwoofer's gone. Any music source is gone. Now you switch the speaker group from let's call it 28 plus 19. We go to 8 plus 19. The subwoofer comes back on.
So is there like an auto off because it thinks the 28s are good enough for no bass or something?
That's what it seems to be. And if you look at in the signal info on the app, right, then you're looking at when it's in whatever video mode, incoming signal, whatever, Dolby 5.1, whatnot, or 7.1, whatever the fuck, and outputting channels, true image 2.1. And then you switch it to the music, you put it to Deezer or B&O radio, doesn't matter, or Tidal, doesn't matter. As long as it's music, it goes to incoming channel PCM 2.0, output channel true image 3.0.
Huh.
So I have, at this point, I have zero explanation to what is going on, other than they either decided that the 28s are more than enough without the 19 in the mix for that DSE, or there is a bug.
Yeah, and there's no way to override it.
But it's only for the 28s, because we have on that Harmony there's a PowerLink hardwire connection to the 90s, and also we have a pair of 18s in the back as the rear surrounds, right? So I haven't tested the 18s with the 19 sub, but I don't think that would not have an issue, because that's a normal setup that people usually have. But when you buy a Harmony, you add a subwoofer to it, with your 18s if you have one, whatever. I see it more common than, apparently it's not a common setup to have 28s with the Harmony per se.
That's really, really strange. I don't understand what's going on there.
So yeah, this is that was my week, I guess. That's what I found out. And I could completely replicate it in the showroom. It didn't matter what. Like, it's just the subwoofer will not work with the 28s, and it goes to the weird 3-point channel crossover. So basically, it's also going. I think it's converting it to a phantom center channel instead of going to the 0.1 where it's supposed to dedicate it to the subwoofer. I have no idea. No, Sandy, music in direct didn't help. Also, this is not a theater, right? So, like, there are different settings, I guess, but more or less similar to whatever. But no, I've tried everything that we could, and it just would not. We did the subwoofer, LFE settings, whatever there was, I've tried to change. Even we fucked with the crossover. We went from 120 to 100. Nothing. There's no difference. But it has no effect on working with the 8s. And they were
so weird.
Yeah, so there was 5 WiSA channels, right? First 2 original WPL1 and 2 are the Lab 8s that we connected. 3 and 4 were the 28s, and the 5th was the subwoofer. And the subwoofer stayed because we're leaving it with a demo for the BeoLab 8s, so you can have Lab 8s with and without the sub if you have the TV. Which I still think that they should come up with something that just make a new subwoofer. If there's anything to make in this year for the 100th year anniversary, instead of a new color from the theater, introduce a DPL WISA subwoofer that works with
everything.
with the Mozart, like make a Mozart based subwoofer with the DPL, I guess, in it, or something or network connection that it can just suck off of the one of the Lab 8s, right? So that's very, very strange. And just there's absolutely no settings that you can go into and change in order to change that behavior for the Lab 19.
That's really,
Other
really
than
bizarre.
changing its speaker role from subwoofer to a center channel or something. But then it doesn't boom, right?
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's very weird. You turn off the low pass filter so you don't have the harmony sound on, right? It just takes the bass and that's it. So yeah, it's a very, very strange finding, but it's only with the 28s, I guess. And then honestly, this was the first time that the 28s were sold with the subwoofer to a harmony.
I wonder what's going on there, because like there was nothing weird with just the harmony and the 28s when I had them.
But you have the 19 with it?
No, not at the time.
They work fine without the 19, man.
Yeah.
They work fine without the 19. Like I said, this is the first sale that we've had since the harmony came out that was that this was the combination 19 and 28s on a harmony.
I mean, the only other time I've really seen anything like that was the 28s with the 19 on a theater, right? So that worked fine too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
well, I've had the 28 for over the Christmas holidays at home, right? And I had the subwoofer on the wireless receiver. Yes, it was 11. Who gives a shit? But it still worked. You could still hear bass and drivers see working. This nobody's home, dude. Nobody's home in the subwoofer. As soon as you go to the movie, the cones are like they're just pumping. Switch to music, absolutely zero. And I played some, like what I usually play, a Caspo Kaleidoscope, which is a very nice roll around 30 to 20 hertz. And Zippo, dude. Zippo. Nothing's coming out of the subwoofer in the music mode. So
David says that he acquired about a pair of 12.3s graphite, luckily in mint condition, from B&O Glasgow, but they said they had an inquiry about sending them to the Netherlands. I hope I didn't gazump you. I don't live in the Netherlands anymore, so no.
No, but 12.3s are nice, especially graphite ones.
Yeah, I would love to buy them. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'm not there, so it's not me.
Yeah. Aren't you having something sent, shipped, and whatnot, and things to you?
Currently, not that I'm aware of.
Is there any anniversary coming up that you haven't remembered that's coming up for you?
Yeah,
maybe?
but I won't be here, so unless people are sending me stuff that I'm not aware of, right?
There you go. Good present.
I mean, I wouldn't mind another set of 8s.
What are you gonna do with those? Honestly, just put them on the wall again.
Yeah, guest bedroom or something. I don't know.
Oh boy. Yeah, man.
Or send me a theater for my bedroom.
Fuck yeah. I couldn't do a theater. It's too thick. I sound like one of our clients though, but it is too thick for being on the wall because I don't have that much real estate to walk around in. Even the Avant is already kind of intrusive.
Yeah, it works in my bedroom. It's no problem really, but
I'd probably have to, if I were to ever do that, I would have to get the gray melange cloth, go the cheap way, because I'd break off the panels or those lamellae in the 3 a.m. piss walk.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think it would look nice in my bedroom, and it would work quite well, but...
Yeah, Lupus joined the 2 Theater Club this week.
Yeah. I mean, it's an
So
exclusive club. It's a good club. It's a nice club. It's the best club.
it's the best. But yeah, let's talk about that little pop-up email that came up. So Atelier limited the Art Deco edition. So so there we are. Dear all, some design movements live forever, shaping the world as they go. In the 1920s, Art Deco was one of the such movements, defining an era of bold geometry, rich materiality, and exquisite craftsmanship. It influenced skylines, architectures, interiors, and the very idea of luxury itself. Now, a century later, it's an unmistakable aesthetic found. New expression in the Atelier Deco or Art Deco limited edition, reimagined in BeoSound Theater and BeoLab 28, with the same striking contrast, cultural elegance, and refined detailing that made Art Deco an enduring icon.
I do very much like the front cover of it.
The front cover is very sexy, but see, that just proves in the pudding that there is a metal lamellae that they machine, that they can make. And I wonder if that impedance with the aluminium lamellae on the 28s does have an effect negatively on the WiSA connection and Wi-Fi connection, or you have to actually have them hardwired. But at any rate, the edition is to be sold as a full set comprising of one Atelier limited edition BeoVision Theater Art Deco 65-inch, a pair of Atelier limited edition BeoLab Art Deco BeoLab 28, Atelier limited edition BeoRemote 1 Art Deco presentation box, includes engraved BeoRemote 1 in chestnut brown limited edition certificate. Speaking of chestnut brown, the BeoSound Explorer in chestnut brown is going away, EOL. So RCP except the screen, or excluding the screen, is 65K US.
God damn.
For that money, I think they should as a dealer, I think should toss you a flipping screen in there for whatever. Now, what screen would you go with? Would you go with the C or a G? Because the G has the silver lining around it, right?
I would say it depends so much on where you put it in your living room. If
Because
it's
it
even your
really, at
living
that
room
point,
TV, right? Like if
yeah,
it's
at this point, I don't think the price of the panel really makes any difference
no.
on the decision-making process of this. So
Look, even if you're a dealer, right, and your customer sort of is okay with whatever, like you can put in a G4 or C4, like, and you get those for peanuts. Like, it's so little, it barely shows up in your margin when this is that expensive. God, in euros, this is gonna be like 60 grand or something, 65 grand euros. Like, holy hell!
it's 58,000 euros or 432,000 DKK.
And you don't even get a screen.
Available exclusively to monobrand and Coco partners.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Note, the full product set must be ordered. Please see more for an attachment, whatever, blah, blah.
So in other words, you can't just get the speakers or just the theater.
Unless your dealer, cracks and does it like that. But I don't think, because this also is all coming with a certificate of authenticity.
Yeah,
So,
but
and there's only 100 sets to be delivered worldwide. With each set is delivered with certificates of authenticity. So they are expecting this to be a one package deal. And I hope it stays like that because it is nice, right? But what if you have a need for an extra pair of 28s in that when you want to make a full surround out of it in your super luxurious cigar room, right? Because that's the place where I would put this because it looks just freaking cool. But yeah, more antique-ish than this would. I don't know. It would look weird here if I even considered having that money to spend on it.
But what I find really strange, right, is that you get a certificate of authenticity, which is like, but I go to your monobrand store, like, and they can only buy it as a pet, and then you still, I'm supposed to be not fully sure that it's real. This is a bit strange.
I don't understand that. No, I don't understand that certification of authenticity at all because that's never been an issue. Like, we're not one of those companies that are now being exposed for having their stuff made in China. Even though, yeah, B&O does have their parts made in China. Some of the older, cheaper stuff is, but it's not a secret. It's on the box. It's not saying that, they ship it all to Denmark just to give it a final blessing, or attach the wood panels on the Emerge and charge stupid money. It's not like that, right? And everything that is made from B&O is essentially assembled in Czech Republic in the factory. So B&O does ship out everything else for aluminium stuff to be put together. Maybe they put this together in Denmark, and that's probably what that base of authenticity label has done. That it's been, this has been put together in Denmark in Factory 5, where the B&O is born.
So you essentially get a BO time for the base of your theater.
And your 28.
And it only lasts to the end of the year. Which is like 55 units, it says here, with additional pieces available upon request within the year.
So
special edition produced only during 2025 to celebrate our anniversary.
Tabernacle, that's it, I guess. That's our 100th anniversary product. I'm kind of happy that I have a 100th anniversary product in my house already, too. Too bad it was 2 years ago that I got it. 3, I guess, now. By the time that.
What are you talking about?
The theater, right? If that's our 100th anniversary product, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, you got their 90th anniversary product right behind you.
It's substantially better than whatever they're coming for the 100th, because if it's just a different color of what I already have, that's pretty sad.
Yeah,
it's cool how they engrave it, and yeah, dude, like, it's fucking cool. I gotta give you that. Like, I'm sure when you look at that grill or the platter, which I don't even want to know how much it would be in the exploded V for parts, because it's never going to be shown for available. That's stupid money, but it's very nicely machined. Like, I like their precision. Like, I give it full respect. I just don't think that this is what we all expected for 100th birthday.
Well, although I like it, right? Like, it is what? An easy 25 grand more than getting a regular theater with regular 28s.
Mm-hmm. I would love to get those top covers in walnut for my theater.
Yeah, well,
I know it would probably
rosewood.
cost me more. Yeah, but this would cost me more than an Eames chair to get it. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
But I do like it. It's a very biogramish feel. I hope it comes with that wallpaper that they show on the screen.
No.
For the 65th or for the 100th anniversary, maybe they'll have a boot screen that looks like this instead of LG logo.
I doubt it. I 100% doubt it. Like, I wouldn't be optimistic about that at all.
Yeah. I don't know. It looks cool, but like I said, that's just it's not for me. And I am a B&O collector, trust me. But I prefer to sticking to the more timeless and stomachable colors. Not stomachable, that's a bad word, because this is gorgeous no matter what. But it just, yeah, I guess it stamps the mark of time, the 100th anniversary. But at the end, it's nothing out of ordinary that they had come up with for that particular 100 centennial celebration.
I mean, these other Atelier limited editions, because that's essentially what it is. It's like, I find a lot of these more interesting, and it's not even regardless to the price. Like, this 4000C looks stunning. These BeoSound 2s are
very interesting.
Yeah. Even the balances with the marble and black is quite interesting.
It's raining.
So it's I mean, I very much like Art Deco, but it's such a style you have to have in your house, because otherwise it's going to look so weird, so out of place. I mean, also, I think this image is slightly I don't know, misleading, because it's almost, this will just, the screen will just be black most of the time, right? Like
100%.
So I guess
So
unless you're okay with imagining this bit most of the time. I mean, I'm
no, I
sure
don't
they'll
see.
sell. I'm not even
I'm
questioning
sure they're
that.
going to be sold out. Yeah, to me, it's just. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I'm just saying that I'm a little bit disappointed that that's what we get for the 100th anniversary, right?
I would almost ask B&O for like to get the 28s in regular aluminium with this engraving in the top, because like I very much like this pattern. It's
It
and
looks cool, man.
it would make the 28s a bit more interesting.
So those lamellae, I guess, those are great engraved on this. But like, if you look at that video that's circling there or cycling, like, are they just cutting in grooves and putting, or no? It's just cut in, or does it stick out? I think it
No,
sticks out. No,
cutting.
it's cut in, right?
Yeah, it's where is it? Here, they use a CNC machine.
Fucking cool though. Like the machining of this is that's the problem. If you see that manufacturing process, you have no issues parting with your money after that for that product. I understand that 100% because I've seen, like that's why I kind of it's funny to say, but that's why I have that respect for the 90s, the Moment and the Avant, because I've seen them being made still. I've seen the CNC running and poof, all of a sudden there's a fucking rail for the 75-inch Avant top, right, for the frame.
This
It
piece
was
is
working on.
sacrificial, by the way, because normally these jets spout an enormous amount of water on the cutting tool.
Oh yeah. They burnt a bit on that video.
Yeah. I mean, you see it dripping, actually,
Yeah,
like on the side when it comes down. See, like,
it's just ready to just go. But no, I like it. I like it, but I just, like I said, it's a little bit disappointing that is the 20 the 100th year anniversary. Hopefully there'll be something else.
I mean, in the same vein, like make more of these top covers in all your wood species. Yes, please.
100%. November 17th is the actual date this year, Sunday. That's when they turn 100. Not fiscally, but anniversarily.
I mean, I guess they still have time, but
Not much left, dude. We're approaching mid-May. Across like we're over mid-May now, so
yeah, July and August they don't do anything essentially anyway.
exactly. So September is we're back to work, and October, November, it's really meh.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they have what, 8 weeks left before they go on summer break,
yeah,
and then it's curtains, and then maybe we'll get leaks again because the interns come in for the summer, right? For all these corporate emails that you get.
mm-hmm. Matt Hellman Peterson said, I would imagine there would be a replacement pair of speakers for the BeoLab 90. I really doubt it. I think the 90s are going to stay for at least another decade, if not more, based on the fact of how long the Lab 5s have been around.
How much are they going to be in a decade?
Fucking $500,000. I think it's going to be that if they're going to keep on producing them, and the segue is going to be that the aluminium is not hard to, how many thousands of cans they have to collect in order to make one chassis type of thing.
I mean, the 90s are now 10 years old almost, right? Like if they go the same trajectory of like the 5s or that sort of thing, they have at least another 5 years in them.
At least.
Yeah.
Well, 5s for what? 2003, and they came, and then they discontinued what? 2018, 19. Well,
Yeah.
basically when the 50s came out to replace them.
Yes.
So they've been around for a long 15 years. Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
I
I
mean,
see the 90s going for at least another 5 years, solid.
The only thing I can think that would potentially stop that sooner is if just making the chassis becomes ridiculous for the margin, right?
That's my worry as well. That at some point, that production of that, or maybe they only have a certain amount that they. I don't know how they produce them. Like obviously, that there's a bulk orders that come in through that factory because once they start smelting that aluminium, right? Like you can't fuck around. Like if you get a big cauldron of this shit, you pour I don't know how many molds out.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't they have that done at some like engine caster somewhere in like Denmark or something? I think they do like custom engine castings. I wouldn't be surprised if like smaller car companies go there. Like,
I think it's a diesel manufacturer, diesel engine manufacturer in Denmark that are doing that. From what I remember correctly, when they were saying that where they're obtaining that, it's a company that makes diesel engine, cast diesel engine motors, or something else as well.
because if
I don't
you're
know. I
for
don't think it's
whatever,
diesel engine because diesel is not made out of aluminium, right?
yeah.
Those casings are it's a steel. So, but
I mean, but if for whatever reason, like outside of their control, like Denmark says we're only going to do like wind energy or whatever, or solar or a combination thereof, then you get like these Spain from like 2 weeks ago situations where like your energy is non-existent because like it hasn't been windy or sunny or something. So if
Denmark's, I think, isn't Denmark switching to nuclear power? From what I heard
yeah, but it
lately.
takes a decade to like if you're
Fair enough.
really fast, right? That takes a decade.
So at least they figured out that the fucking wind just doesn't work. No matter how much of it you get, it just
Well, it does
doesn't
when
work.
it's windy, but
How often and how far and how fast the wind blows, everything depends on, right? Or if you get nuclear power station, it's just solid,
yeah.
straight out output.
So
But
there's I don't know. There's a lot of that isn't in their control. Is all I'm meaning to say with that. And
mhm.
smelting aluminium is very energy intensive. Uh,
I
so
think if anything, if they're going to come up with any speaker, in my opinion, they should come up with something that I know Karim's going to love that, but something along the lines of the 20s or like the Lab 9 used to be that size. Like less than a 50.
at the current price, I almost think there's a space in between the 50s and the 90s as well.
Fair enough.
Because I mean, the 90s are in USD anyway, near enough 200, and the 50s are like 80s. Like there's 120 grand in that.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
I mean, surely you can sit like 60 grand in the middle somewhere. I mean, also
Mm.
if you I guess like make that chassis out of the same sort of fiber reinforced material and maybe do some other things, right? Like it's just easier to make, and if the 90s sales go so low, it's easier to phase out.
Yes.
Like they may still be on the books, but like the chassis,
Well, they
like
can
just
also be dependent on having that manufacturing saying, listen, man, we're finished doing this.
yeah.
And that's it. Like, there could be a company, whatever change that they say, we're not doing aluminium anymore, or not processing it. It's not feasible for us financially. Fuck off. And then you no longer have a place to manufacture the chassis because I'm sure that these molds, I don't know if, I guess they would be property of B&O. I don't know, but where do you take them? Because it's a few tons each. Like this is a serious process to make these speakers. Yes, I'm sure that if you make a bulk of it, it's cheap, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, but are you
But
really going to make 500 chassis in one go?
where the fuck do you put them, right?
Yeah, and they're heavy.
Not on its own, it's 65 kilos without anything in it, right? And that's how they come milled and painted out of the factory already. So they actually process that. B&O doesn't drill fuck all into it. They just put the cables in, put the speakers in, put the electronics in, turn it on.
I would almost also think that if you change uh, producers, let's say, that they would say like your molds aren't valid here.
That
Like,
too, you never know. Like
yeah,
what it doesn't fit our clamping system in our machinery to put it all together or
yeah.
whatever. Like I don't.
or we
know
don't
how
trust it,
these.
we can't be sure that it'll hold, blah 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 blah, right? Like we have to.
Yeah, that could be all the lift art nonsense to it more or less than anything. But if you have a mold, it's a mold, right? Like if it's made out of steel or whatever, like the casing is, because the mold itself is sand, right? That they just impression of that, and then I don't know how many pieces of that nonsense they. It's just crazy to me how that puts together. But yeah, it's a very very interesting process to get to the 90s, which also makes it expensive. But yeah, if they made something between the 50s and 90s, like let's say Lab 75s, I don't know, just throwing numbers out because they don't make any sense anyways. The problem is going to be a BeoLab 35 that's going to be larger than 50 and smaller than 90. And well, can it be? Oh yeah, we had a BeoSound 35, so yeah, we're still allowed.
Sure, we'll just reuse names as always, right? Like,
Or that, yeah, we could go ahead with that with BeoSound 1 and 2. And
yeah,
yeah,
similar
I think that
between
they could make
28s and
something.
50s. There's what, like currently like a 40 grand difference.
I would imagine if that was like, let's say, hypothetically speaking, a BeoLab 75, something in between, I think it should utilize the BeoSound Edge technology of the motorized baseboard,
Yeah.
where if you want the balls booming, then it just opens the floodgate on the back of it or whatever and just starts going.
Yeah, make it an enormous BeoLab 12.3, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, yes, it can be thicker, but like a lot of people, seemingly in the interior design world, right, complain about even 50s being too big,
But they kind of are.
but they kind of aren't. They're not that big.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's the same. Like the speakers are huge, but they kind of not. They're sitting there, go in the corner, cool. Yeah, they're big when you have to move them. That's
Yeah.
the laughter dies.
Mr. Eldia says, "What if I told you they have 5+ years at minimum of 90s already made up, ready to be customized just with covers?" I don't
I
think
could
so.
believe that. I could believe it, but I don't think so. I don't
5
think that
years?
they've
No.
made. But then again, how many do they sell? Like, if let's say they have 500 chassis, not even. How many do they? We don't haven't sold a 90 set, like other than what we just bought one for the showroom. Like we haven't sold one in a few years.
No, but
Like 90s are progressively.
worldwide B&O sells, I would imagine, at least one set a month, right?
Yeah.
So
So it's like
let's say
200
that's
pairs. Let's say.
12 sets, so that's 60 sets at least that they have sitting in a warehouse. It's like, and that's on top of what they will know for sale for sure sell this year. I mean, I'm sure they have quite a fair bit of them there, but 5 years?
I don't know if it's depends on how much they sell, or maybe now because they don't sell as much as they used to. But
Oh, I'm sure
I
they
can
don't
see them
sell as
having
much as they
pre-produced.
used to, but they still sell like one set a month globally. Yeah.
Probably more or less.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably more, right? It's probably more like 5, but because
But
like
yeah, I
the
just wonder.
dealers buy them. I don't know if that counts as a sale, but dealers still buy them, and dealers still sell their X demo pairs.
Well, it's still a fucking chassis you got to put that speaker into. So, like, it is a sale, right? It still
Yeah.
comes out of the. But I wonder where they house them. Is it Netherlands then? I guess because that's the main warehouse for all the parts. At least that's where we see most of the parts come from. Is Netherlands.
Yeah. I don't know why they put that. Other than that, the logistics in the Netherlands are extremely good compared to many other countries, but I don't know why they put it in the Netherlands. It's kind of strange, but
Yeah, but it's all coming. Everything is NL warehouse. If you go to the ROS, check in NL warehouse.
yeah.
There are a few things like we had the gray melange coming from the. Apparently, there were two places they were manufactured, and one was that they had the shit glue, I guess, and the fabric will start to come off. But that's now all gone and away and sold or solved.
Lard says I was told 3 years ago that B&O sold 20 sets of 90s a year. Yeah, I can imagine
I
that.
can see that. I can see that. So other than that's 100 chassis then that they have, let's say for 5 years worth of
20,
production.
yeah, 20 sets, so that's 40 a year. If you then have 5 years of 20, yeah, that's 200. Do you have 200 sets just sitting there?
Wow, it's probably made for a very cheap price back then. I'm sure that they do projection of how much the aluminium is going to cost and whatever. And or
But do you
I'm
just want to
certain.
sit on that stock like that?
Well, what if you don't have a fucking choice? What if they also have the minimum production requirements, just like B&O has? Like, you need to make 500 of these before we even give a fuck, right? And it might be the same thing that they go, okay, well, if you want to make those chassis, well, first of all, you guys already messed around because you changed the mold by that one thing, right? So you're already fucking pissing us off. And now, what are we just gonna make 10? No, right? So they're just gonna haul out maybe 200-300 chassis in a production run, or 100, that's a 650 kilos of aluminium. That's, maybe they do it by tonnage. How much can you do out of 1.5 or 2 tons of aluminium that we can provide you with? Because it's not the purest. This is not the BeoLab 18 back of it aluminium. Like, this is just regular. It is pure aluminium, but it's nowhere near spared of all the imperfections that the other ones are scrutinized for when they're going through the production factory and anodizing. There's nothing anodized on the Lab 90s other than the crowns, really, and the inserts on the right there. But all that is black paint inside.
I mean, I
So,
quite honestly, I don't think the minimum production run was that large. Because we've seen several photos over the
let me
years,
get
right,
some more
where
soda.
they had a bunch of these made chassis on pallets and stuff, and it
Well, when I
wasn't.
was in B&O factory, they had 20 of those speakers just sitting in the warehouse when they were being tested, like they were actually on the 24-hour pink noise nonsense,
Yeah.
just hauling ass. Son of a bastard! I don't have a water in my coffee.
But also just the
So,
bare chassis, right? Like I have a feeling the minimum production run is more like 20 chassis to like maybe 40. So like maybe 20 sets, maybe 10.
well,
You know,
all of that is a speculation. Like, we have no idea how many that the company said that this is what the minimum requirement is.
I just can't see them sitting on stock for that long and then also raising the prices and sitting on it longer, because at some point, when are you just gonna like devalue it, right?
Well, maybe that's how they're affording the fact to keep it, because they raised the price of the speakers just to pay for the storage of all the ones they haven't sold.
I mean, and also like, where do you
How
store it
much
all?
room do you think it
Yeah.
would take up? Because it's definitely going to be a smaller box than what my 90s come in regularly or originally, right? Because there's no top, so you're still looking at a box that's about this big of a size.
Yeah, easily.
And it doesn't have to be on those, foam pallet feet, because there's no suspension required for it yet. It's just screwed onto the bottom with nothing inside. Let me grab my coffee. So it's just 65 kilos of this sculpted aluminium that, probably just sits in those boxes and containers. But yeah, we can purely just speculate how many they have had to make in order for them meeting the minimum requirements for that. But I'm sure that there's a reason
Oh,
that's how that
for
all works.
sure. But I just in terms of like all the how your financials work, right? Like you're
Mhm.
dishing out also for like that chassis for them relatively so much money in the hope that 5 years from now you'll make it back on something you already have and not selling.
I honestly, I'm sure that there is a stock for it. I really,
Yes.
really don't believe that there's 5+ years worth of this shit sitting somewhere. But then, to
If it
the
is, let
argument
me
of it
know,
all,
because like if I just swipe one, right, I don't think they'll
wouldn't
notice.
even know. But no, if you look at it in reality, how much of this stuff is actually stored in these warehouses? Because fuck, you can go and order. Well, right now, I had a client that called me from Halifax. I don't know what the fuck he dropped on his Lab 9s, but something fell and he just stored the grill, like right where the belt line is, right? So, and I know they obviously weren't like that, and he just heartbroken. So he called me up and I looked on the ROS. It still said that the dark gray grills were available, but when I went check in the shop and actually tried to place the order, it says expired. The only ones that are there now are only white. So they're still sitting on a fucking set. I don't even know how many sets of white BeoLab 9 grills, right? And there's how much of this stuff, and there's big boxes, man. Like that, fuck. You can imagine the grill. So I think they definitely are sitting. There's a big warehouse of B&O parts somewhere in Netherlands.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe.
Oh, absolutely. But this is one of the things they're known for, right? Because you can get parts like 10 years later.
That's right.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I actually think that's one of the more commendable things about a company is that quite often, even stuff that's 20 years old, they still have official parts for new. And I don't understand, like with this cradle to cradle stuff, right? I don't understand why they just don't say, like, we've been doing this before it had a name. Like,
they just coolified it for the new hashtag, whatever word, I guess, because at the end of the day, like the cradle to cradle, fuck, like we still have people that show up at the busted BeoSound 3200, and all you need to do is just grease the wheels and replace the two belts. One is for the clamper and one is for the door mat. And the thing still works, provided the CD mechanism isn't burnt off. But even the 3200s, like, man, I've had some people that like literally had the hard drive almost full. And that's weeks of recording because it was done in real time.
Yeah, you just press go.
It didn't rip
leave.
shit. Yeah, you just listened to the tracks and it would separate them and record them in real time. And we still service this stuff. So yeah, I just like the cradle to cradle. It's kind of a funny, catchy term more than anything in my eyes, because that is one of the pivotal reasons back when I fell in love with the B&O, and I started to understand the company more of what that is and how long these things last in your household. Like, fudge, man. I had like a JVC or a Sharp fucking whatever. It was a Sharp Tower with a minidisc player and 5-disc drawer and all that nonsense, dude. I've had it for 2 years and fell apart. This 9000 has been with me for I don't even know how many years. At least a decade at this point. That's where I'm counting from my old apartment, but I've had it even before that. Yeah. So, and it still looks cool,
I've seen
still
it
works.
for at least since 2018.
Yeah, so there's just I have old BeoSound 2, for God's sakes, man. And you know what? If I fucking charged it, it would still play. It would still play, right? It's an MP3 base, but I took out the cable so it can sit on the shelf. But I have the portable charger, so 100% this would turn on and work. I have no doubt about that. Let me turn it back here. So, and quite honestly, if the BO6s were like the Wi-Fi was enabled even to I don't know, if they could somehow connect to the new Mozart, it would be another great remote still. And I think they should come up with something on the line of BO6, because
God, I would love it. I would buy it instantly, even if it was a bit silly priced.
Because the Halo is cool, but you stop right there because it's just cool. The functionality of it, and for some reason, since the new software came out, I just started noticing that it's very, very, very touchy. Call this, man. Like, you swipe a little bit. I had to move my macros around because somehow, for some reason now, it doesn't default the buttons where you default them in the integration menu on the gateway. So everything starts from the first button. So my first button, like if I would have to actually swipe over to get to the corner where the first button is, because mine was the third one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But now the first button was a leaving home, so I accidentally press it, shit shuts off because I'm just trying to scroll to get to the freaking my buttons, right? And I also had to change the behavior of the Halo, where I just set as AV controls primary instead of the gateway, right? Like I used to have it with the weather on and all that nonsense. So it's a little bit of I don't understand what and where and how this changed, but it definitely did with the new software upgrade that came out. and it's no longer a beta because everybody else has the Halo 2.0 something software. I forget the exact version. Let's see what the version is.
I mean, the BR1 is okay, right? But it's not at a minimum of $450 remote.
2.0 1957 is my Halo. So yeah, this is the latest one. You know what? I wish that they just backlit the bloody thing, at least for that money.
Phil says, hopefully they're not dying in beauty because of the 90s. I guess a lot of premium B&O clients want to get some new stuff end of the line. They will be sad, very sad. I'm not personally, having lived with all of it, right? I much rather have something that's based on the platform of the 50s and 90s, or even like 18s, right? Than all the new stuff. Because it's dumb enough to be smart enough that it essentially just works.
It's smart enough not to be dangerous. Where the Lab 8s we have constant issues with in the shop, dropping off from the DPL, and then the biggest problem is then when they drop off to the point where they just don't reconnect anymore, no matter how many times you power cycle each individual product, you got to reset them. Now, when you reset them, you consequently got to nuke the theater, right?
Yeah.
And now that we have 4 Lab 8s on the DPL because we're trying to, save a fucking network allocation slots, it just, when it falls apart, it's a 2-hour process now, right? Because you got to take the grill off, reset the theater, reset the speakers individually, reset them back up, and then hope to God they come up on the DPL, power cycle the fucking things a couple more times, then they show up, you pair them on to the DPL, everything's boom boom happy, right? You fucking put the microphone in, set all the speaker presets, which is I think like 5 of them we have there, right? Because you want to show the 28s alone with quadro surround, blah blah this and blah blah that, and then you put the bloody grill on, and by then you look and it's 2 hours later. That's if you're lucky, if the app don't crash and whatever and happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean the 50s and 18s and whatnot essentially always work. The only place where I say the newer like 8s and stuff have a slight advantage is that I had a power cut yesterday, and the power cut was really short, like 2 seconds or something like that.
Ooh, that's not good.
Well, I mean, I have a whole home surge protector, right? So I'm not that fussed about it. But it's not long enough of a power cut for the 50s to come back online properly. Because they have like enormous
the
caps
capacitance, yeah.
So obviously, like everything goes off, everything turns on, except for like the 50s properly. So when you turn on the TV the next time, like the 50s don't do anything. Because they just are sort of in this weird limbo of like, I don't know what happened. I better not do anything.
Yeah, I better not turn on right now. So yeah, I've had the only thing that I do for some reason here now experience power cuts. I didn't have any of that experience in downtown, obviously, but further away from downtown you go, I guess the tougher it gets to maintain the grids and whatnot.
It's
But
around here, I'm told it's that they're still building stuff, and that there's like whole subdivisions getting added further down the line, right? And they just go chunk, and then a bunch of stuff is already like flicked on, so it's just
yeah.
It's like a local box or like a substation just going.
I know the weirdest thing is when the power goes out, like it did this week actually. The power went out on fucking Thursday at like 6:15 in the morning, and I had my alarm set for 6. So the macro, I know how it's supposed to work, and all of a sudden, boom! Fucking the lights come back on, right? Because the goofy hue just goes back to 100% after the power is cut, right? So
Yeah.
all my house lit up. I'm like, that's not it, right? And you yell at Google, it's like, I can't connect. I'm like, oh shit, we lost power. And that's the only time that automation sucks, because you have to wait for the network to come on so you can yell at the lights to turn them off.
Quite literally, this is the biggest difference to me in terms of living between Europe and here, right? Like I've never had so many like little or power cuts in my life as I've had here.
It's bizarre, hey?
I mean, I've lived in Spain before. Like it was fine. It didn't really happen there either. Like in the Netherlands, like you had if you had it every 5 years or so, it was kind of that was sort of the benchmark. But
I
here,
remember
like
power outages when I was little, but I've grown up in a communist country, so how the fuck are you not surprised that we even have the power to begin with? But I've never seen it since I moved to Canada. Well, since I moved to Calgary in Alberta. And once I came out here, man, it's just like, holy Christ, like this is serious, man.
yeah, and it's not like we don't have power, right? I mean, you can do whatever, but it's like all these little weird brownouts or some every so often like you have this
The
light
blips.
flicker and you think is my dimmer going bad? No, it's just like power
No,
things.
it's the power issues. Yeah. Yeah, no, for a province that produces power, I definitely find it more or less unacceptable.
I mean, we produce a
But
heck of a lot of power. Like this state has like 5 nuclear power plants and then a bunch of natural gas ones. And but I think, quite honestly, from what I hear from the tradespeople, it's like there's still so many people coming, and that they're building new subdivisions, and it's like some of these electricians, like the big power line people, right? They are
oh well, there's
not
a lot of
trained
infrastructure stuff.
properly, and they sort of slam these massive cables together and sort of go like, let's hope this goes well.
Fuck. And poof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean,
But
it's just not good for anything attached to it.
no, 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 and that's what I was saying. Also, just as while back, well, since we're speaking of power, I've mentioned that many episodes ago where I've had these weird issues with people living out in the sticks here, where they have a generator on schedule every Tuesday or every second Tuesday to come on, and like you start to wonder when the calls come into the shop mysteriously, periodically, right? Like every 2 weeks the guy calls like, "Hey, man, fucking the B&O man doesn't work," you know.
Yeah.
But you have to go out there or be lucky enough, like I was, that I was there at the time when this actually went down. I'm like, oh fuck, like my god, you got a generator that kicks in at 10 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. That's what does your shit in right away. So yeah, it's funny how sometimes things work, especially with power. Power is again with B&O, it's funny how B&O works, because if you lose uh feed from, let's say, a Bell network, so your TV doesn't work but the theater turns on and everything works properly, and you see the menu on the screen and display's not dead, they still call and it's our problem. It's just no, 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 it's there is something wrong with your feed.
Yeah. I mean, at the end for my 50s, it was just unplugging them, right? Like
Yeah, you
all of
got to
them.
leave them for a
Like
little bit.
I think I did 15 seconds and then it was fine. But it's just like it. I mean, because like when they're on, right? It's funny. Like when the lens is up and the light is on, it's like you pull the power out, and you just start looking, and the light is on for like a good 4 or 5 seconds still. So that's quite a
Oh
bit
yeah,
of
no,
like
they keep a
residual
lot.
power in the frame.
Even then they're not fully dead, man.
I didn't need them to be fully dead. I just needed them to be functional again.
I remember, man, we did took an Avant 55 off the wall with the fucked video board, right? And we just left it in the shop for it sat in the shop for 2 months before we had like enough spare time. Okay, like let's strip it, let's take whatever can be salvageable, maybe the speaker box is still okay, blah blah blah, this and that. I fucking touched the power bar or power supply, and the thing wasn't plugged in for 2 months, man. And I touched it, bro, where the 400-volt pin was. It burned my glove.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Burnt the hole through the glove, fucking zapped me pretty good. Call this. I'm like, fuck, there's still power after 2 months in this. So be careful, children. Don't
Yeah,
stick your
don't.
hands into boards that you have no business doing. But accidents happen, fuck.
I'm amazed. The Halo, by the way, is $900 now. Holy moly!
Also, it did go up.
Yeah.
What did it used to be?
750, I think. Which I already thought was high.
Yeah.
I mean, they market it as a easy access to music and smart home. That smart home is new, right? But easy access to music, it's sort of like,
I call bollocks on that because you can only turn on I guess if you consider easy access to BNO radio stations, then you can swipe through, but not your Deezer Tidal things.
no. I mean,
dude, I got so pissed I went to the shop, and for some reason there's a bug in the app or something. Deezer just will not log in. We changed the passwords, Deezer wouldn't log in. So I'm like, Kareem, okay, hold on. This is fucking, we're trying the same thing 6 times over. This is insanity. Let me try it with my account, right? So I log in, everything works in my account it just took it on the shop account, right? So I guess it went and fucking logged me into all the things. I know we play music, it works, blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to log out and you log in. So I logged out, he logged in, incorrect password. What the fuck? Then I just gave up on Friday before a long weekend. I'm like, bro, man, suffer well. I'm out of here. I get home, try to log in my Deezer, cannot do it. Could not do it. Could not log into my own account. It signed me off out of all of my home, everything else. Couldn't fucking log in. Pissed. Then I drove my girlfriend home. We unloaded the stuff and I stayed at her place and, put the air conditioner on the window, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to log in with my account on her phone, on her B&O account. No problem. What the fuck? So I left it logged in there, came home, and started the Deezer again. Logged in. All of a sudden it took. I'm like, all right. Opened the B&O app, logged in, took it as well. So I don't know if the Deezer had a login server issue for maybe a period of let's say 24 hours or so.
I don't know.
It
I
just made
have
no
this
sense.
so often with B&O's app and Deezer specifically. It happens essentially after every update from the app.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never had an experience till now.
I put in my credentials and it's fine, but it says to use Deezer with the B&O app, you need Deezer Premium Plus or whatever.
Yes.
Go to the Deezer website, and I have it, but it's no longer called Premium Plus. It's just called Deezer Premium.
Yes.
And for some reason, you go to the website, doesn't work. You go back, and you just press accept, 8 times, right? You do it 8 times over, and sometimes it just takes, and then it works again.
Yeah, so that's where I started to actually believe in the fact that you have to be insanely insane to just keep trying and trying and trying and trying till it finally goes through.
The Deezer app itself on my phone works all the time. So it's not Deezer. There's something in B&O's sort of mix.
No, I couldn't even get into the Deezer app. It booted me off of the Deezer app as well. I had to use the Deezer app in order to reset my password. Even sign in with Google, it just, nope, wouldn't do it. I don't understand what the fuck was the problem, but it's resolved now, more or less.
Oh,
I'm logged into everything. You got logged in?
Yeah, in one go. Because normally, this is another thing, right? Let's see if I can. Let's see, can I do it on the 8th? Oh no,
Tidal. I have a Tidal, and I kind of switched back. I don't even know for what reason, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I would just, I guess the problem with the Tidal that I had was that it would not continue playing the songs in the favorites. It would play one track and stop. So I gave up on that continuous catering to my playlist when I listen to music that I have to, I'll load up a bunch of songs into it and then listen, where Deezer just goes. Also, the Deezer flow is a little bit interesting, or more interesting than what Tidal has. Sound quality wise, they're both identical to me, unless you use the LG app and you do Dolby Atmos music.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
B&O app, it logs in, right? You go to Deezer, has to think. And no, I'm not logged in this time.
Fucking hell.
See, like I'm not logged in. I'm just into the free Deezer thing.
Yeah.
Then you can pull it down so it starts thinking, and then every so often it'll. But I probably have to log out and log back in again, and do this whole fucking dance again.
Maybe that's why they're trying to move away from Deezer. That authentication process is becoming tough to handle by B&O environment. Sigmund's asking a question. BeoCenter 4 connected to the theater line out is RCA. And now you're logged in.
Sorry, I swiped up, closed the app down, log back in, and it's good again.
It's good again.
So this is
BeoCenter
definitely
4
B&O app issue.
There must be. There's no way. Anyways, BeoCenter 4 connected to theater line out is RCA. Got the jack to USB-C. Any thoughts before I start to implement? Are you talking BeoSound 4? Because I don't remember having to see BeoCenter 4 before. But yeah, line out RCA, that's BeoSound 4 for sure. The only thing that I would recommend doing is disable automatic line sense in the theater, because I've had some ghosts in the machine where the signal is detected for some weird reason, and it usually happens midway you watching a movie, and then the screen shuts off and you have a white light on the theater and you wonder what the fuck just happened. But no, you're just in a line in. So if you have the theater, just disable the line input. In connected sources, you can rename your line input to a BeoSound 4, and you can do it that way. Then you select it from the music list of sources. But I would not recommend having the auto sensing on. First, I just find it's even on low or medium. I find it's too touchy. So I would recommend going to disabling line sense and just turning it on, unless there's a specific need for it. But you need to have an understanding that if your theater does behave in the way that I just described, it is because it's switching to a line input.
I mean, you can set it to like.
Well, there's low, medium, and high.
Yeah, low sensitivity, and then make sure the volume is up quite a bit on the BeoSound 4.
Well, if you're using aux out, then it's a fixed output, right? I also wish that they made a longer freaking USB-C to headphone jack adapter than they have. In my opinion, there should be a part for a cable that is USB-C to a female RCA socket, 1.5 meter long or 30 centimeters long. So you can either hide it in a bloody VESA mount or bury it in a tube over the floor stand. That's what I think should happen. I've never tried, but I'm very keen on finding out if I buy a USB-C extender, USB-C female to USB-C male, let's say 10 feet, would I be able to transfer the audio through it, like as an input? Fucking fruit fly in your car. What is that?
10 feet USB-C? Yeah, should be all right.
Because it should work without an issue, right? Connecting it to the USB-C to a headphone jack.
Yeah, and there is a limit on how long USB cables can be before you get
degradation
severe
of signal.
No, not just that, like none at all. But I think that starts at like 20 feet or so.
Well, 10 feet is already insane in my opinion, but just a little ding dong that they give you, it's not even enough to like deal with it inside the back casing of the input well, right, on the BeoSound theater. Because once you start getting busy with it, then it's that point where it's more or less recommended to use the panel inputs versus the theater inputs, unless you have a puck requirement. But then only you can do either HDMI B and C or AB, so you have a little more gap on the top, but it's still not long enough for the USB-C cable to reach and bend with fucking RCAs and barrel connectors in it, or a headphone jack, because they're just it starts to get long. So
Yeah, I just directly did it to the 50s. I thought initially of like attaching my record player to the theater, but it's sort of like nah.
I'm
It's
gonna try and order the USB-C to USB-A or USB-B, sorry, which is the printer cord, right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
goes into the back of the 90s, and see if the core has a different sound to it. Because what I find is weird. Uh, I do prefer the sound of the BeoSound 9000 over the SPDIF into the 90s versus what the theater does to the 90s through the direct or true image. Like it just gives a lot more bass to it.
You know where I got that USB cord where they have a lot of them in stock? Office Depot.
Hmm.
Because those are like quite often the printer cables for Macs. Like
No shit.
because Apple laptops, right? They're all USB-C everything, and your printers are for some reason are always USB-B.
Yeah. Because they haven't gotten the fucking memo yet. And it's been what, 20, 30 years of this?
Yeah.
God, at least I never even thought of that. Yeah, USB-C like in the Mac accessories. And it would be a sexy cable too, I guess, because we spent $100 on it now.
It's just a regular white cable. I mean,
That's
it's
it.
okay.
It's white.
It's where I got
The only
mine.
thing that sucks that there's nowhere to hide. Like if you put the core, there's nowhere to hide it inside the 90s. 50s are fine because that well is deep and big, but 90s don't really have much to attach.
You can make a nice little wall mount for it.
Well, there is a wall bracket for the core.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to break off that connector zip tie holder thing because it looks so ugly.
Wait, USB-C 10 meters for 4K 60 up to 30 meters. Is that passive or is that an active cable?
Exactly.
I mean, if it's passive, then I think I swapped over feet and meters at some point.
No, but you need the passive for B&O's
Yeah.
line input. But if we're talking, USB-C data to USB-A, or sorry, USB-B for the 50s, I think you can get away with the 10 meter. I don't think that you really have a need to go that far. Like 5 meter is more or less overkill in our usual setup where we hide the equipment, right?
Yes.
And if you have 50s, then I think even a 30 centimeter is fine because you can just stuff it into the back of the 50s.
You can have some strain relief circle on both ends a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you have 50s, you could stuff all sorts of things in the bottom.
Not in the 90s, man. There's just enough room for the cables to go around. Yeah, you can zip tie a lot of cable bundle in there, but there's not place to put a box.
I mean, I think.
But I wouldn't even bother with it. Like, I just need to play. I need to sit down really and just attenuate the bass EQ on the theater. I need to bring it down to the levels that it is on the SPDIF output from. If I listen to the Depeche Mode on the 9000, I want to have that same exact sound off of the theater. And I think when I match that, then I'm pretty much golden with what I used to have back in the yesteryears of time. Yeah, the passive is, like I said, I don't think you really have a need to run more than 5 meters. But quite honestly, you need only a meter if you're talking B&O VESA mount, right? Because you can just run the RCA cables, whatever input you have, up to the VESA and connect in there and just go down into the bloody connection well in a theater box or in a theater soundbar. But the problem is that there is just not enough room with the provided cable. Like even, I guess the only place that it does make sense somewhat is in the A9, right? Because if you run the coax, or not coax, I mean auxiliary RCA line along with the power cord through that little clip hook, right, on the top of it, so it holds it, but then there is enough room to wiggle around it to plug it in. But in a theater, you don't have that. Luxury, especially if you have a couple hardwired speakers. Can't do that.
The back of mine barely fits on anymore.
Yeah.
So.
And we try to run thin cables because, like, sometimes you have to run that 4.5 meter. I call them the cement mixer wires, right? Because it's thick as a pinky, dude, and they don't want to bend. And it also introduces an unnecessary board stress, right? Because it's twisting the fucking connector off of the soldering points a little bit over time till it gets, you know, into
Yeah,
that position.
it can snap at some point.
Mm.
Especially if you closely mount it to the wall, it's all pain.
Yeah, it's not fun, especially when you do have a lot of things
I
hooked
mean,
up to
that's
it.
how I
Then
had
yeah,
it in my last apartment in the Netherlands, right? It was on the wall, and like, if you ever got that buzz because of like your
something.
power link cable was like coming out a little bit, right? It's like, oh, because you go one click and then you like massage the strain back, like
Yeah,
in another, and you're like, it's,
I
it's
know,
so annoying.
I know. And you don't have small hands, so it's even fun, more fun.
I mean, the HDMI cables were the least fun because, I mean, I had bent it a little bit at one point because it got snagged on something.
Ooh.
And I was like, yeah, this is going to be a repair bill. But then I put it on and it still worked. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's not fun with the theater. Like they just made barely enough room. And you kind of sort of have to use specific HDMI cables that are thin if you really want to do the full connection, like, you know, full socket well filled. Puck is not really an issue because it's just a
Yeah,
small
it's
little
so.
tiny wires.
Plus,
Power links
it's
are an
two in
issue.
one.
Rumor has it that I guess the stage 2 or whatever, if they're coming out, it might have a puck, which I think is a great addition to it or an improvement. But I don't think that it's going to be the price that it used to be. If they come up with a new soundbar, I think it's going to come out $1,000 cheaper than what the theater came out initially, like 6-7 grand.
I'm not
That's
sure I would ever buy it at that price point.
Yeah, but I think that at that point you would most likely have a couple power link sockets in it. It's going to be like a miniature theater or you know,
Yeah, I understand, but like,
skinned down version of it.
look, for the price of the stage now, right? You can get a pretty full Sonos system.
Yeah,
And if you go up to like 2.5, 3 grand or something, you can get like 2 subwoofers with it, and they're decent subwoofers. And it's like, and then B&O is like, our bass starts here. Yes, it's prettier, but it's also like 2.5 grand more. And then how
yeah,
about
but
you
it's a
spend another
different.
7, 8 grand on some eights with this? And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, but that's different, you know. Like it's the same thing, I guess. If you're gonna go buy a Casio watch or you're gonna go buy a Rolex, right? It's just, you know, they both tell
Yeah, but
fucking time.
there are like brands in the middle of that, right?
So, but yeah, but Sonos, like I've heard that Arc system with the 2 Play 5s or whatever as rear channels, it sounds decent, I have to say. The problem is you cannot adjust the levels. You can't adjust shit. You gotta walk around like a freaking Gandalf wizard with that phone app, and it goes whoop, 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 right? And you have to walk around like you're blessing the fucking room with sage, and then it figures itself out, and it's cool, right? But it's still, I don't. Uh, yes, I'm brainwashed by B&O. I don't find it a sexy appeal, and you know, it's a black bar. It looks boring. Yes, it has some sound to it. The subs are okay, but at the end of the day, it's still just Sonos. You know?
I agree, but look, I guess I'm more so saying that I am at some point price sensitive. Like,
Mm.
yes, the B&O is prettier, right? But it's to the point where like this is getting a bit out of hand with the price increases.
Well, I'm at the point where I'm more likely just going to spend money on parts now versus buying any new product because
Yeah,
I
but
quite
that's
honestly capped out. I don't. I have enough product that I don't even have rooms for it. For fuck's sakes. You know, and what am I going to rent a 3-bedroom apartment just so I have a place for my
yes,
V1
yes,
and
yes,
the
yes, yes.
fucking lab ones and a shape for God's sakes, because I got to put that somewhere now too.
Yeah, why
I was
not?
actually debating of taking the picture frames down and putting the shape in here since I'm going to stay in Montreal for much longer, I guess. But I don't know if I want to venture down that road yet. And if
Over
I do
on
the shape,
over on Twitch, Brandon says if anybody has like any issues with their Wi-Fi B&O stuff, try moving everything to the 2.4 gigahertz band and not use the 5 gigahertz band. I don't know if you can do network shaping like that in your apartment, but that may be a thing for the Avant to try and do, since you lose it every so often.
To what? To disable 2.4 gigahertz?
No, the 5 gigahertz.
Or disable the 5 gigahertz network? I don't think I'm able to do that. With my, let's go 192. Hi, I'm Vincent. Why the fuck does my router have a name?
Why is it Vincent?
That's what I wonder. Invalid password. Oh, the password is a default serial number located on your modem. Fuck that. I'm not going to look.
And then it's like admin 1234, right?
No. It's one of those bullshit Windows key passwords. You know what I mean? It's like it just gives you
capital W V.
That's right. 7G exclamation mark hashtag cough.
Maybe you should change that to something you can remember, or have like a notepad.
I thought
like
I did. Honestly, I thought I did. Let's let me log in with it. Okay, no, I did. Cool. Okay, Vincent, where is your settings?
On Wi-Fi, make an IoT and B&O net on the 2.4 gigahertz is the right way to go. Probably. I mean, I use like the Pro Ubiquity stuff, so I don't really. I've never had an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like even with like it beams out as one SSID, right? And it's both, and it just works. It gets handled.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I don't think I have anything that I can do with this Wi-Fi here.
I mean, my M3s never drop, and they're, I think, only are they even 5 gigahertz capable? The M3s? I don't think so. But I mean, they work fine, and they connect to everything, and. I mean, I don't know. I haven't had anything drop in, other than power drops. I haven't had anything drop in forever. I mean, I have a
the only thing that, like I said, I had issue with is when the power goes out and the network comes back. For some reason, none of the Mozart comes back to online, even though it's the play button is white on the theater. It doesn't show in the app. I have to actually power cycle it, so it grabs another IP or the same IP or whatever wherever that hang up happens. I don't know if it's the Vincent fucking up or is it the Mozart platform.
I mean, but isn't your like Avant dropping every so often? Weren't you saying that?
Only when there's a power outage now.
Oh. Well, maybe Vincent found your Avant finally.
Yeah. I also, that Avant has some age on it, and I think it could be. I don't know what it could be, because I had weirdness going on with the WiSA speakers connected to it. The two receivers in the back and the lap fours were going on and off, and so did the sub. So I factory reset the TV and started over. And it happened after I unplugged the Roku and put in the Apple TV. Weirdly enough.
Huh. Maybe the Roku was being like interfering. Or...
It could have. No, Roku was fine. Because once I put the Apple TV, I had to factory reset everything because the DPL was falling off. So I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty weird. And now it's all stable and everything's happy. I'm not able to separate my networks on this piece of shit router, and I really debating now to set up my Ubiquity stuff as well, because I only need one access point really to juice it in this house.
$184,000 for a set of black 90s. On the B&O website. No, regular black and yeah. Anthracite is apparently the same color now because like it's the regular color. I mean, the Parisian night blue with bronze is still $203,400. Big oof. Well, I just like, can we please make this stop going up? Like, I don't care what happens in the world. There is no way you don't have enough margin on this. Like, there's no way it even if your margin is 55%, right? There's no way this making this set is going to cost you, like, as a company, like 90 grand or whatever. Especially if you supposedly already have 5 years of stock, which I don't fully believe, but yeah. Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that, but like similarly for the 50s, right? Like this is for like triple black. Oh wait, I fell back into old habits. Sorry. Here we go.
There we go.
69,400 for like for just cloth everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good God.
And she just goes higher and higher.
I mean, seven. This is ex sales tax too, or VAT, or BeoTalk, or whatever you want to call it, wherever you
Mm-hmm.
are. So there's a good what, like $5,000 worth of like sales tax on top of this.
At least depends where you buy them.
Yeah, I mean if you're in
17% here.
I mean if you're in New York or Chicago, it's probably 7,500 on top of it for sales tax.
Yep. Hmm.
I mean it's kind of crazy.
For me, also, Sigmund, is that if I disable my 5G network here, I have about 10 different units that are blasting that within my vicinity of the reach because it's the apartment building, right?
Yeah.
So it's I don't think that it'll make much difference. Maybe my internal network, I guess, but I still get interference from everything else. But now I got to knock on wood, it's settled, so I'm not going to fix something that's not broken right now. And quite honestly, I decided to do this, to live with a default ISP router provider, because I wanted to see if I will also have, because if I put the Ubiquiti here, I'll never know what other people that are running on Videotron or Bell in their homes are going to go through with this, with the platform. So it's more or less for my own education, because yes, I can end the fucking headache in 2 hours and set up the Ubiquiti and be done with it. But I do want to see the behavior of the system in the wild, where people buy B&O gear, but they don't opt in for the network, or a correct network rather said, because we do have, like the Eero, but I'm not a biggest fan of it as far as how it works and what you can physically do with your network and how much you can control it without calling the 1-800 help number. Please, can you change the IP address? So that's not the best way to go. But yeah, I completely understand how to end my headaches. But in a way, like I said, it's all stable now. It only goes to shit when when the power goes out. So all the other issues I have are basically on the BLI, which is interesting. So yeah, we'll see what the anniversary will bring, but I hope that it's not just the what's it called, the Art Deco Theater.
I put up a poll.
I see that. Nice. For some reason, my stuff is being weird lately.
Because in 2017, September 2017, right?
Yeah.
These were 26,795 as shown. Sorry, I forgot an A in the options. The 90s were released in 2050 for an original MSRP of 38. No, they weren't. Maybe per speaker. They weren't under 40 grand in 2015. They were. They've also essentially done 3x, but they, from memory, they were 68,000 euro from memory. Do you remember the launch price of the 90s?
80 grand.
USD, right?
Yes. Yeah, because I remember Dave Zaffel at the time was saying like they should be 90s for 90, right?
Yeah.
At least. And I completely agreed with that because those speakers, well, I agreed with it after I bought mine. Yeah, raise them now, shit. But I honestly think I think they shot themselves in the foot with the price. I think they should have gone more. I think they should have they should have come out with either the 90 grand or 190, I guess, and just call it that's what it is, and we'll sell 3 pairs a year and never increase the price for 10 years. But they are expensive now. They are expensive for the tech in them is still, it's decade old. It doesn't mean that it's bad or it doesn't sound. I don't know if they put new tech in it, would it sound much better? I think the only capabilities that you can expand on that speaker is the room compensation to go more than 2,000 hertz.
Yeah.
But that's about it. So yeah, they are 3 times what they came out for, but that's just too bad. Makes you feel good when you bought them early. Like, the early adopters never get punished with B&O other than the software glitches and whatever. But
which is a whole nother punishment in and of itself.
Yes, it is indeed. But at least, you can suffer through it over the years with the dealer trying to help you out and still under warranty. And, when the product's being discontinued, that it works correctly with B&O.
Yeah, so this is so another thing that's fucking weird, right? Like I'm trying to look it up, and B&O never ever says it's X amount of dollars per speaker. They've only started doing that like since this Mozart era.
Mm-hmm.
But every review site from 2015 sort of says, "Oh, they are $39,000 each," and it's like, okay, but like you can't buy one because the master can play on its own, but the other one can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like the secondary speaker is totally useless without the master. Like it just doesn't do anything to the point where like it's an ornament.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you feed it any signal, it's just gonna go. Like
I don't know. Yeah, because it's DPL. I have no idea because it's specific to the 50s and 90s. Those two.
Yeah. So like I mean, even if you had one, like if you didn't know which one, there's a 50% chance like you have something totally valueless.
Yeah, but the Mozart speakers, I guess, somewhat sort of kind of make sense to have individually priced because you can buy just one. I don't understand why would you buy 128. We've had sold 128 to a person before in the shop.
I mean, you can buy 1/8. You can buy like
Yeah.
5/8, let's say, if you wanted to. If you have like a, I don't know, some Denon receiver or something, and if you want all B&O, you can have 5/8, right?
Mm-hmm. BeoLab 5's never increased much from time of launch to finish. Oh, you'd be surprised, man, because at the end, I think they were 38,000 US dollars,
In
the
euro,
final
I
edition.
think they started at like 13 and 13.8 or something like that, and by the time they
Yeah.
were done, they were 23.8, 24, something like that.
Yeah, no, they went through a price increases over the time as well. So, but
I
yeah,
mean,
I guess now it's the
they
high net worth strategy.
because the Mark ones were very early, and back then that was a shit ton of money, right? Like 13, 14,000 for a set of fives.
Yeah.
And I remember like because there was this special final edition, and those were very close to the end and very near to the fives or 50s launch,
Yes.
and the difference between them and the 50s at the time was like $3,000 or something, and the 50s were 26,795 from memory. So
Hmm.
they were like almost 24,000.
Yeah. Not fun.
Let's see. There's at least one of you that works for B&O that's watching, because at least I think one or two people said yes, it's normal to go 3x launch price in under 10 years. Hello.
Yeah, I guess it's normal if you don't buy it. Then, you just, if you work with it. Yeah, I guess sometimes, I get desensitized to how much people pay for this stuff because I bought mine a while back ago, but it's not that I lose respect for doing or working with it. But yeah, it's becoming, unfortunately, it's the jewelry of the electronics. It's the nicest jewelry of the electronics that you can buy is B&O, because I don't find anything that is more attractive. Like, yes, we've been through these speakers and the big boxes and whatever, but the sex appeal that B&O has, I think they still bank on that quite a bit, and the sound quality is good. So
Yeah,
we
and
are
not
the
needing
victims of what it is. It's
the
the same if
stacks
you,
of amps and nonsense.
yeah, but it's the same if you bought it. Like, I bought my Eames chair and I paid I think 7,500 Canadian for it, and if I were to do it now, it's almost 13,
Yeah.
and that's and then it's in a span of I bought it in 2017, I think. So
I
it's
mean,
not even 8 years.
yes, cars have gotten more expensive, but they're infinitely harder to make, right? But like the 3 series from like 10 years ago is not versus the one now. I don't.
Nowhere
It's
near the
it's
amount of
it's like.
electronics and stuff that they stuff in those things now. It's insane.
I mean, yes, they're a lot more expensive, especially here in the US, because like money printing like crazy, like printer go burr.
Hmm.
But I mean, a $40,000 car 10 years ago is like 60-ish, like 58 to 60-ish now. But so it's 2x in 10 years, but they're infinitely harder to make compared to speakers. And there's also way more shit in them as standard.
Yeah,
And it's just surprising that somehow for speakers that like have had no design change whatsoever, that it's 3x the price now.
yeah. But it is what it is with B&O, I guess. But I think at some point it's just gonna get to the point where how many people are you able to sell this to?
I mean, we're literally one price rise away from being over 3x in 10 years, more or less, for the 90s, and like 8 years for the 50s, right?
Hmm.
Which is
Didn't 90s go up recently again?
Yeah, in like, was it 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, they did, right? Well,
Yeah.
we're only in May, so maybe for the 100th anniversary, they'll pop it another 10%.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Just because, you know.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go, how about 90s for 200? Like, make it the sort of Price is Right thing for if you're in America, you know what it is, but I'll take 90s for 200.
How much are they going to be, Fudge?
I mean, they are already quite close to 200. Let's see.
Well, they're for the basic ones, right? The other ones are already over 200. And if you go with the Atelier, then you're putting at a 40% cost on top of that. Or you're gonna go with the Samurai Edition, which is what 250,000 US, I believe they are at, if not more.
Yeah, well, those are relatively cheap now.
Yeah, considering.
So a 9% price increase and they're 200 grand.
Like I said, 10% pop and we're good.
I mean, 10% is like 203. Which is like,
Well, they're 184 now, so that number doesn't even make any sense. How much, you know? Why not 185 or 180, right? Like
or
it's just
199.999 or something like that, right? It's the
99
deal
cents.
of the century.
Like, but
I mean,
yeah,
B&O
it's
is interested in a new audience. I'm just not sure their audience is interested in B&O. I mean, they literally said, what was it, a year ago or something like that, right? Like, unless you're making, I don't know, at least 5 million a year, we don't really care about you. Like,
pretty much.
I mean, their target audience worldwide is like 132,000 people or something like that, according to their market research. Like, that's not a lot of people.
Nope. But then again, like I don't think that these speakers sell as everything else. Like we, at the end of the day, the bread and butter in our shop that I see is Lab 8s and the theaters. Lab 8s theaters go on a weekly basis.
I mean, if they're serious about getting the billionaires and multimillionaires, right? Like, you need to actually be at the private jet shows. You don't need to be at the trade shows.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking, if you're getting to the people that potentially think about buying a plane for like, I don't know, $60 million, right? Like, a set of 200 grand speakers is kind of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 2% of the money you were willing to spend on that day. I mean, this is what Rolls-Royce does, right? Like, they don't have that many like stores and or shops where you can go. They just go to all the private jet stuff and or similar things, right? Boat show. There's a Rolls-Royce. This is the new Rolls-Royce boat, whatever. I mean, and I'm not saying like you go to a Riva show necessarily, because that's in the realm of boats is not that expensive. But you go to like these places where like, oh, you can customize this. It'll only cost you like 100 million. And then you have like somebody like Bezos coming by and goes, ha ha, 100 million. It's like, is that all?
Yeah, but there's only a few people that can point that finger, other than like the sheikhs and whatever else have you, because they don't
Yeah,
disclose
but
their
his
wealth.
ex-wife has half of his money, right? So you may want to go like, fuck you, I'm getting a bigger, better boat than you.
But yeah, I just like I said, that's our bread and butter, and I think the 18s that's gonna hit us hard as well, because 18s we sell quite a bit of, and if they're gonna get, which I think they are finished at the end of the 100th year anniversary for B&O, it's gonna be tough to because the 8s are nice. They do sound better in my opinion than the 18s. However, the forgiveness of the acoustic lens imaging is unsurpassed to what the 8s can do with their wide mode.
Wide is by far the best mode on the 8s, though.
I agree as well. I agree. The wide mode is they're not necessarily lap 3ish or 18s, but that mimicking of the acoustic lens is a little better than it is in a direct mode.
I mean, yeah, coming back to the rich clients, I similarly don't understand why, like, your shop wasn't, like, emptied for the Formula One race. Like, why didn't they set up a whole thing, right? Like, because any time you go to any city that has a B&O shop, and since you sponsor Ferrari, why aren't you there?
Or at least have some. We're too far out of downtown, but it would be nice to have a car at least for a few days in front of the shop to
Same
attract
for the Miami
crowd.
Grand Prix, right? Like, as
That's
far as
it.
I understand, that did almost nothing for the shop because it was too far away. But like, why don't you like empty the shop and bring it to the track?
Yeah. It's not like we don't have the manpower. I understand that, yeah, it comes with the cost because you got to transfer all this shit. But, not necessarily we have to bring the fucking 90s in there. But if you brought a pair of 50s with the theater and, maybe 18s for the like a rear, make a chair there. And the only thing that I would put on there is PlayStation 5 with the racing games. Put a chair in the middle and have people experience the surround theater like they've never had before.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading something the other day. Like, apparently in Miami there is this like beef restaurant or something, like, or they do steaks and stuff, and it's sort of this like that Salt Bay sort of dude, right?
Yeah.
But it's I don't think it's the same people, but they have this big ass, like, I don't know, it's like 2-pound tomahawk steak, and they present it in like that Pulp Fiction kind of bag with the gold light coming out, and like it's presented by like 5 people, and like half the staff starts clapping and singing some songs and whatever the hell. This steak is 10 grand. 10 grand.
Call this.
In the Miami Grand Prix weekend, apparently they sold 1,000 of them.
Yeah, people spend money on stupid shit, man. It's just what it is.
But like, if that is the sort of money that's around, right? Like, I'm just gonna drop 10
no,
grand
it's
on
formula money. No, I know, dude. Like most of the restaurants make their money in that week for the entire year's worth of profit, almost, right? Because they jack up the prices, but fuck, people pay, and it's just busy as any. It's just I've never seen Montreal more busy than on the Formula Week.
Make some nicer packaging for the 8s in gift baskets. Like, here, buy this for your friend. It's like, I don't know, 8 grand or whatever.
That's it. But
I mean, who cares if they actually use it, right? But like, at least you got the money. But if there's people, like, if there's apparently 1,000 people willing to drop 10 grand on a singular steak.
I know what the problem is in our shop because those events, like we just don't do events for some reason, and it's not the management, it's the ownership that makes that decision against it. And I think I think it does hurt a business a bit, because you could make, like, if you make a couple events and you invite the Richie Rich, right, to come and mingle and eat some fucking caviar on the crackers and listen to the 90s and just mingle around with some good champagne, whatever. Like, we've had always success with it when we did that in the shop in Calgary. We've always, like, when the Avant first came out, we did an event, and I remember, like, it was 12 people that confirmed and came, and 7 of them bought right away, fully paid it.
Yeah, I ordered a Harmony 3 days after the launch party, and it was one of these launch parties at a hotel with like
So
I,
it
I
works.
wouldn't say I was necessarily swayed by it, but it was a nice enough gesture to be invited and to see it early and to then go.
Yeah,
I was most likely going to buy it anyway, but now I'm actually in because I actually saw it.
yeah. So and that's it. I believe in the events. Yes, they cost money up front, and there's also damage risk involved, and people sometimes get stupid and spill shit. But depends what crowds you invite, right? Like if you invite goofies, then you're gonna get goofies. But
Well,
if you
you're also
invent
not going to invite like 100 people generally, right? Like,
no, it's unmanageable then.
yeah.
Like I personally think that our shop should go after interior designers because they have that ever so godly power over the people.
Some of you people are insane. Is it normal to 3x the launch price in under 10 years? 8% says yes.
The trolls are the ones that work with it because I can't see how otherwise you would be okay with price
You're
increases of
lucky
that
this is
much.
anonymous. Because I can't see who voted for what.
But yeah, I don't agree with it. I think their price strategy is getting a little bit too crazy. But then,
I mean, to be fair, right? If there were like good signs of this working well, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would be sad that I wasn't included in it anymore, but it's okay. I understand for the good of the company. But
mhm,
since the implementation of the strategy and the main difference is no change, that's
mhm.
kind of like, why? Like, is it worth it to like sort of like kick so many people out and have no change at all?
I just find that the lack of new product is really hurting it. As far as the portfolio expansion, there is really very little. Like I remember B&O would always come up with at least few things a year. But
Yeah, I guess they still do, but it's so uneventful
but you,
that
you can't call a new color a new release. Like it's still a theater. It's still the same soundbar. It's still the same tech. Like what are you actually selling me other than this? The new chestnut anodized plates and yada yada yadas, right? Like yes, I care, but do I?
I
Like I
mean,
wish for something new. I wish for more speakers that are within the realm or in between the powerhouse of the 90s and the 50s, or something in between. Maybe something along the lines of the 6000s, but obviously with much more musical capability or acoustical capability, because those speakers were slender and they worked.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, Sandeep says, remember though, in the target cities, London, New York City, Paris, the new strategy has been working fairly well. In the last quarter, reported sales in those cities were plus 13%. So, in their view, there's signs that it's a worthwhile strategy.
Well, it
Well,
is because we also went up in sales from last few years. So
I get it, but I think 13% is not enough. Like, for especially for the money spent on those stores, right? Like, this needs to be substantially higher. And I'm
well,
not
just
saying it needs to be 100%, but it needs like you need to be plus 30 at least for the people you're dropping everywhere else.
yeah, I
Because like
agree.
if you look in the Netherlands or Germany or like even England, right, the amount of dealers that are going just closing or being kicked out.
I think they're if let's call this a conspiracy or a theory or whatever we call it. But if let's say the CEO decided that the best way to meet the margin requirements for their investors is to essentially just re-release products in new colors and do these stupid markups on things that are already existing versus what they would have to spend in cost of RDM for a new product, uh, that bucket will run out at one point because you just can't up shit on something that's indefinitely get more expensive for the same that it does, like the 90s per se. It's 3 times the price. Are they going to discontinue them? What are they going to replace them with? There's like, what is in the pipeline that would work that with this? So
Yeah,
I just think I think they're at some point they will either price themselves out of the what's it worth, I guess. And there is I just don't know what else to say, because if you're not going to produce new products and whatever you produce, and all of a sudden if you don't buy it while the software is hanky on it in the first 3 months, then you end up paying a lot more for something that is the same functionality, value, and cost that was back then, but now it's finally working, right? Just like I had my pains with the theater for first year, but that's just what it was. But at the end of the day, I say $5,000 more or less, right? Or whatever, how much it went up by now. So
God, they had some years during COVID and whatnot.
yeah, shit went up because nobody could spend money anywhere else. Yeah.
Tuo was great, apparently.
Oh yeah. Tua was a genius in its own sense, introducing the BeoPlay and just subdividing the brand, even though everybody was pissed off about having a sub brand to B&O. But it definitely turned it around significantly. So,
I mean, if the stock was up 39% or whatever it was, like, if it was a meaningful number, right, then it would be impressive. But we're talking about what, 3.5 Danish kroner over a year to date, which is what, like, it's not even $1.
yeah.
I mean, what is 3.5 DKK? It's 0.47 euro. So it's 52 cents. Like, that's. I mean, if you're the CEO and you go like, I got the stock up 36%, it's like, what? But what is that? It's like 50 cents. It's like, okay, good, I guess. It's not terrible, but like, it's not.
Go have
like,
lunch.
I mean, it's not earth shattering, right? Like, if somebody like, I don't know, a Tim Apple or an Elon Musk, right? Like, says like, I got my stock up 36%, and you go, what is that? And he goes, oh, it's close to $1 trillion now. Then it's like, whoa, Jesus Christ! But this is 50 cents
with the penny stocks, yeah. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm impressed by the craftsmanship of the Art Deco, but I'm not impressed if that's going to be our 100th anniversary present from B&O to celebrate.
Hope there's more than that. Yeah,
100 years of innovation and leadership in a lot of different things, that they're just gonna come up with a different color of something that came out 3 years ago. I don't think it's cool. But
no.
We will see.
They said on Instagram something will come that is old married to the new, so, which is again not new, but just old but made nicer.
Fudge.
So
we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, come join our Discord, everybody, and call it for today. Hope you have a very good one, and we'll talk again real soon. Next week.
You betcha. Bye bye. Thanks.